I'm happy that she came in and did. I'm sure she proved a lot of people wrong that thought, what a year. I never could have imagined last bucket of my rookie season would be a 3. But maybe God's saying give them a taste of what they'll be seeing more of in year 2, LOL.
Quick hitter number 3 goes to Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese, who has a new weekly podcast called Unapologetically Angel. Because I would have been like, how naive can you be? But she is young. She's only 22. And the reality is the scrutiny that she's been subjected to is inexcusable. It's egregious. It's disgusting. It's wrong.
Angel Reese's firing from the Chicago Sky amid steroid allegations is sending shockwaves not only through the WNBA, but also across the entire sports world. The magnitude of this scandal is hard to overstate. For years, women's basketball has been working hard to carve out its niche in the broader sports landscape, and the WNBA has slowly been gaining momentum with increasing viewership and sponsorship deals. Reese's scandal threatens to set back that progress by associating one of the league's most recognizable names with cheating and unethical behavior. This moment is critical for the WNBA because the league is at a tipping point, with stars like Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu bringing in more mainstream attention than ever. The league was on the verge of a cultural breakthrough. Clark in particular has drawn in new fans, expanded television ratings, and captured the public's imagination, but Reese's scandal tarnishes that narrative at a time when women's sports are fighting for legitimacy and equality. A doping scandal involving a high-profile player like Reese not only damages her career, but also threatens to undermine the credibility of the WNBA. In a broader context, this situation is emblematic of the struggles that women's sports leagues face as they push for more recognition. The WNBA has been battling against the perception that it is not as competitive or popular as its male counterparts. A scandal like this gives critics ammunition to downplay the league's progress. The timing couldn't be worse, as women's sports leagues, including the WNBA, have been steadily gaining traction in the conversation about gender equality and professional sports. The fallout from this scandal isn't just about Angel Reese's individual career. It's about how the WNBA will navigate this PR nightmare and how it will continue to grow in the face of adversity. This isn't just a story about one player, it's about the future of women's basketball and how scandals can shift the trajectory of higher leagues. Angel Reese, the athlete under pressure, and the price of fame. Angel Reese's journey from rising star to scandal-ridden player underscores the immense pressure that athletes face in today's hyper-competitive world. For Reese, the pressure was compounded by the fact that she wasn't just expected to succeed, she was expected to compete with Caitlin Clark, a player who is breaking records and redefining what it means to be a star in the WNBA. The comparisons between Reese and Clark were relentless, and it's clear that those comparisons affected Reese on multiple levels. Reese's trajectory highlights a broader issue in sports: the crushing weight of expectations placed on young athletes. When athletes enter professional leagues, especially with the hype that surrounded Reese, they are immediately thrust into the spotlight. They're expected to perform at the highest levels, win games, and especially in women's sports, carry the weight of representation. Reese, like many young stars, was constantly under the microscope, and every misstep was magnified by the media, critics, and even fans. This type of pressure has broken even the best athletes. We've seen similar struggles in other sports. Think of tennis players like Naomi Osaka and mental health challenges, or gymnasts like Simone Biles who chose to prioritize mental health over competition. The rise of social media has only intensified this pressure for athletes like Reese. There's no escape from criticism or expectations. Every missed shot, every game that doesn't go as planned is dissected in real time on platforms like Twitter and Instagram. For Reese, this pressure was likely compounded by the fact that her performance, while solid, couldn't match the meteoric rise of Caitlin Clark. In this modern era of sports where athletes are also expected to be media savvy and marketable, the combination of falling short of expectations and constant public scrutiny can lead to bad decisions. Reese's alleged turn to performance-enhancing drugs could be seen as a desperate attempt to bridge the gap between where she was and where she felt she needed to be. The psychological toll of not measuring up to expectations is enormous, especially in a league like the WNBA, where individual stars can make or break entire franchises. For Reese, the inability to live up to the hype may have felt like a personal failure, one that led her to seek out shortcuts that would eventually derail her career. Performance-enhancing Drugs, the dark side of professional sports. The issue of performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs, in sports has been a dark shadow over professional athletics for decades, but it's often a topic associated more with men's sports than with women's. Angel Reese's alleged use of EPO, erythropoietin, and anabolic steroids brings this issue to the forefront of women's sports in a way that hasn't been seen before in the WNBA. It forces us to confront the reality that the pressures of professional sports affect female athletes just as much as their male counterparts. EPO is particularly dangerous and is not something one might expect to see in basketball, a sport where explosive speed and stamina are critical, but not usually to the same degree as in endurance sports like cycling or long-distance running. The fact that Reese allegedly turned to a drug like EPO speaks volumes about her desperation to maintain an edge in a competitive environment where athleticism and endurance are increasingly important. The physical toll of a long WNBA season combined with the expectations to perform at the highest level every night may have led her to feel that this was the only way to compete. The use of anabolic steroids adds another layer of complexity. These substances are notorious for their ability to increase muscle mass and strength rapidly, which would have given Reese a physical advantage on the court. However, they come with serious health risks, mood swings, liver damage, cardiovascular problems, and long-term effects on the endocrine system. For a young athlete like Reese, the decision to use steroids may have seemed like a short-term fix, but the long-term consequences are potentially devastating. In sports history, PED scandals have had far-reaching consequences, not just for the athletes involved, but for entire leagues. The 1990s and 2000s were marred by steroid scandals in Major League Baseball, which called into question the legitimacy of entire seasons. Cycling, once a revered sport, became synonymous with doping after Lance Armstrong's fall from grace. These sports have spent years rehabilitating their image, and the WNBA may now face a similar challenge in the wake of Reese's scandal. The league's reputation, which has been built on hard work, integrity, and promoting women's achievements, now faces a stain that could take years to erase. Teresa Weatherspoon, the fallout of a tarnished coaching career. Teresa Weatherspoon's involvement in this scandal marks a significant moment in her coaching career. Known for her leadership and mentorship, Weatherspoon's reputation has taken a severe hit due to her association with Angel Reese and the PED scandal. For a coach who was once hailed as a beacon of success, especially as a former player turned leader, this situation is a devastating blow. Whether or not Weatherspoon had direct involvement in Reese's decisions, the perception of her complicity has left her career hanging by a thread. Weatherspoon's potential encouragement of PED use, even if indirectly, calls into question the ethics of coaching in high-pressure environments. Coaches are supposed to be the moral and strategic leaders of their teams, guiding their players not just to success on the court, but also to personal growth and development. If Weatherspoon indeed pushed Reese toward PEDs to salvage a struggling season, it represents a massive breach of trust. More importantly, it suggests that even coaches are not immune to the pressures that come with professional sports, pressures to win at all costs, even if it means compromising their values. Historically, coaching scandals have had long-lasting impacts on both the individuals involved and the teams they lead. In college sports, for example, scandals involving recruitment violations or unethical treatment of players have led to entire programs being shut down or placed on probation. For Weatherspoon, her legacy now hangs in the balance. She may have been a promising figure in the WNBA coaching ranks, but this scandal could derail her career. For good coaches, especially those who are former players, carry a unique responsibility in the development of their athletes. They understand the game from both sides, having lived through the pressures and challenges of professional sports. Weatherspoon's failure to prevent, or worse, her alleged encouragement of Reese's PED use calls into question her ability to guide young athletes toward making the right choices in the face of adversity. It's a harsh reminder that even the most respected figures can falter when the stakes are high. The Chicago Sky implosion, a franchise in crisis. The fallout from the Angel Reese scandal has not only derailed her career, but also left the Chicago Sky franchise in a state of disarray, with Reese and Teresa Weatherspoon both dismissed. In the wake of the scandal, the team now faces the difficult task of rebuilding its roster and leadership structure from the ground up. This is no small challenge for a franchise that was already struggling on the court with a record that left them far from playoff contention. The trust between teammates, coaches, and management has been shattered. In professional sports, team chemistry is often the difference between success and failure, and the Chicago Sky's locker room is now filled with players who feel betrayed. Reese, once seen as a leader and cornerstone of the team, is now viewed as the catalyst for the team's collapse. Teammates who relied on her leadership and performance are left questioning their own roles and whether they can trust the organization moving forward. The damage extends beyond the locker room. The scandal has left the Sky front office scrambling to control the narrative and repair the team's public image. Sponsors whose financial support is critical to the team's success may reconsider their partnership in light of the negative attention in a league that is still working to build its financial stability. Losing key sponsors or fans can be devastating for a team like the Sky. In the broader context of the WNBA, the Chicago Sky implosion serves as a cautionary tale about how quickly things can unravel when controversy strikes. The WNBA, like all professional leagues, depends on its teams to not only perform on the court but also maintain a certain standard of professionalism and integrity off it. When a team like the Sky falls into a scandal, it risks dragging the entire league down with it. The WNBA now faces the challenge of managing the fallout while ensuring that the league's growth isn't derailed by one team's crisis or rivalry. Derailed. How Caitlin Clark's rise highlights Reese's fall. The once promising rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, which had the potential to be one of the great storylines in WNBA history, has been all but erased by Reese's scandal.